Welcome to the 2025 Dialogue, a masterclass series by the HR Association of India. I am Neha Jagnani, and today's session explores a theme that lies at the very heart of evolving workplace, the human renaissance in the age of AI. To help us decode the powerful transformation, we have with us Sahil Nayar, an HR disruptor who loves blending data with intuition, strategy with storytelling, and innovation with impact. Whether he's shaping talent strategies, mentoring future leaders, or challenging the status quo, he does it with wit, wisdom, and relentless drive to transform the way we experience work. An award winning HR professional, an author, a podcast host, and a certified happiness coach, he has been recognized over 50 times for his contribution in his field. When he's not decoding workforce dynamics, you will find him on a mountain trail or cruising through Mumbai on his Royal Enfield. He is the HR Bites guy, Sahil Nayar. Sahil, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure having you as always.
Thank you so much, Neha, and I reciprocate the same. I think conversations with you are not just insightful, but they're also a lot of fun. So, looking forward to having a wonderful conversation today.
Thank you so much, Sahil. It's a pleasure. So, to begin with, my first question to you, Sahil, is how do HR leaders move from simply implementing AI tools to becoming the chief architects of human AI collaboration and purpose?
I think that's a very loaded question, and I would recommend always starting with a pause. I think many a times, whenever there is the flavor of the season or a fad or a trend, we notice that many influencers end up very quickly making reels on Instagram because it starts trending. And similarly, I've also seen many HR professionals try to replicate that at the workplace. While technology, of course, is a great enabler, I think the first question that we really need to ask is why, right? If things have been working a certain way, bringing in AI, is it going to make it better? Is it going to make it more complicated? Is it going to make life easy? How is the user experience going to be? So on and so forth, right? You don't want a situation where you end up launching a new phone and people in the market who look at your brand as a niche or a cult end up saying, oh, but this is just a very different phone where a camera has been put somewhere else or two dots have been moved somewhere else and the earlier version was better. And therefore I think the power of pausing and asking ourselves that question, saying, number one, what is AI going to do that isn't happening today? Number two, by bringing in AI, is the user who's already pressed for time, and here the user are employees, will they look at it as a better add-on feature, a better model, a better version? Or are they going to go back saying, hey, you know what was there earlier was a lot better because it was easy to use, easy to understand. I didn't have to go through the entire change management process of wondering what is this new tech or new feature or new program or new initiative by HR that just sounds so complicated and therefore I don't have time for it. So I think when we answer the question why, it brings us to a lot of clarity to say, using design thinking principles, that if I put the user in the center of everything I do and I prototype my idea, I get the answer to say, is it going to make life better or worse?
Sure. Thank you so much. Just to summarize, I think you started with saying start with a pause and reflecting upon how it is going to add value, and that you can do it in two ways. What will the AI tool do to you? Number one. And secondly, will employees look at it as a better version to what it was before? So thank you so much. Beautifully put. My next question, Sahil, is if AI can handle the what, how can HR redefine its role to master the why, how, and with whom of work?
I think this is very beautifully linked to the first question also, because as we discussed, right, if you have to know what comes first. Is it the chicken or the egg, right? Many times, do you put the chariot first or do you put the horse first? And I think it isn't an easy answer. Let me admit it here. It is quite difficult. It's quite challenging because in any kind of corporate setup, be it a startup, be it an enterprise, be it a multinational, be it a homegrown entity, you will realize that you will have different thoughts. And alignment of these thoughts or perspectives can often become a challenge, which is where answering the why, which the human needs to do and not the AI, is very important. Number one. Number two, it's not just about answering the why, it is also about driving alignment on the why. Because if different people have a different why as an answer, you will realize the what and the how and the where and the when will all move in different directions, right? Just to
Right.
take a classic example, a person in IT may look at implementation of AI very differently as a person from finance who's spending the money and looking at ROI, very differently from, let's say, a marketing person who's trying to develop a go to market strategy and feet on the ground, leveraging technology or AI, and an HR person to say, okay, if everything is going to become technology driven, then where is the human in the technology, right? So every person is not wrong, they're right. But the point is, they're answering the why from just their lens. And therefore, it is very important that whenever you have any initiative in your organization that is moving forward, driving congruence on the why and coming together to a common why. Yes, there will be elements of your own function and your own subject matter expertise and your own affinities and your own biases that will play out. But driving alignment on the why makes coherence much more effective when it comes to the what, the where, the when, and the how, because that technology can help you do. But so far, I think unless human minds don't align, when I don't think any technology has come up so far where it can actually help you build consensus in a boardroom when people are looking London and talking Tokyo.
Sure, very well said, Sahil. So basically, AI, as you said, cannot define the why for you. It's the human who can define the why. And finally, coming together to a common why is crucial because there will be different perspectives, different lenses from different functions. So thank you so much for putting it together. My next question, Sahil, is what is the human quotient and how can organizations measure and develop it to ensure long-term relevance and resilience in the AI-driven world?
I think, if I just zoom out a little, Neha, and go back to the times when computers weren't around, right? We had typewriters, right? And we had people who would do handwritten notes. And we had people who would maintain ledgers and logbooks in diaries, right? Fast forward to the day when computers came in, and a lot of people thought that my only job was I was given a paper in a handwriting that no one could understand, and my claim to fame was I was the only one in the office who understood my boss's handwriting. And therefore, even though it was shorthand or it was typing speed, whatever maybe the technology back then, and I know a lot of executive assistants' claim to fame was, oh, they knew shorthand, right? And people who became advisors, senior advisors in a multi generational workforce, because they started off their careers with secretaries who knew shorthand, even now they preferred secretaries who knew shorthand, which is a depleting skill because shorthand moved to typing and typing moved to typing on the typewriter to typing on the laptop, and typing on the laptop has now moved to AI where I'm just speaking and everything is turning from speech to text. Now, in a world like this, where we've seen the journey of just one simple role or job that has transformed itself over decades, the only thing that has remained is the human element, because the human element or the human quotient, as you like to call it, has enabled this transformation. Now, you may come and say, Sahil, the way I think and the speed at which I think and the speed at which I speak may not give me the opportunity for iterations, which would actually happen in shorthand. I would say, okay, just cancel the sentence, doesn't make sense. Or while I'm saying it, it's not flowing. Whereas I may not be able to do the same when I'm doing speech to text, or I may lose my chain of thought, or I may be just going so fast and I may assume that the technology is so good that it'll capture every word. And today it does, but maybe 5 years back, you would have seen there would have been typos, there would have been grammatical errors in sentences, which actually meant you had to go through the entire script all over again. 3 points I want to make to this question, and I'll keep it rather brief. Point number one, the human quotient, whenever removed from any aspect, will only work when technology is 100% foolproof. We've seen that on expressways when you have cameras, but you still have a police van waiting there with a person trying to scan cars and looking at speed limits. Not because cameras don't work, but because a police van parked there with a person and you see that big camera zooming out of the Jeep from the diggy, actually taking pictures of the car coming fast, psychologically makes you aware that there is a person there. Now, technology is so good that you also have apps today that tell you where cameras are and where are they working, and therefore at what time you should actually reduce your speed to ensure that if a camera's radius and capturing is 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer before I reduce my speed to the speed limit. So there is this beautiful blend of technology and human. The second aspect is wherever human is over indexed as compared to technology, you will realize that there will be avenues for either corruption or misappropriation or beating around the bush, or if I talk it from an Indian diaspora perspective, jugaad. And therefore, how is it that you can bring in a little bit of technology to ensure that there is consistency and not a process, a system, an initiative that is very focused to an individual leader's pattern or bias? Because we many times realize that in organizations, when leaders move, a lot of their initiatives or programs also die a natural death because the next leader doesn't like that program, wants to do something different, wants to put his or her name up on the wall, and therefore that goes differently. And the third, of course, no prizes for guessing, is actually a balance between point one and point two. And therefore, if you can get the balance between point one and point two, to my mind, for not just HR leaders, but even business leaders, is the sweet spot.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sahil. So technology has truly evolved, but the human quotient is something that is constant. And beautiful 3 points there, each scenario being different, technology being over-indexed or the human aspect rather is over-indexed. Then there is when human quotient is removed, only when the technology is foolproof. And lastly, the balance, which is the ideal situation. And thank you so much for bringing that up. My next question, Sahil, is beyond reskilling for new tech, how do we inspire generations to embrace learning to unlearn mindset, where their greatest skill is adaptability rather than any specific technical knowledge?
I think the key to unlock this is actually spending a lot of time on the mindset and digging deeper to realize where is the resistance coming from. Because anything that doesn't get embraced or any avenues where you don't see agility, you will realize that there is an underlying emotion that is acting as a barrier. Having said that, many times it could be fear, like I mentioned earlier, that, oh my God, if I embrace computers, what will happen to my earlier job or skill where I was an expert? Because suddenly, from being a shorthand expert, I will become a beginner when it comes to a computer. And if I become a beginner, there may be other people who may be at an advanced or an intermediate stage because their grasping power will be a lot more faster than I am because they're a lot more younger than I am. So that deep rooted fear makes people behave or align with leaders who are also from that school of thought, and then they become a cohort. And when they become a cohort, they very interestingly use beautiful organizational dynamics to act like distractors or derailers to new processes, new technology, enablement, so on and so forth. So I think the ability to be able to identify what are the underlying reasons that resist change are important. And once that's done, then to my mind, it's very important to be having the right redressal mechanisms because there will be different strokes for different folks. If fear is the underlying emotion, you got to deal with it differently. If it's anxiety, differently. If it's a skill gap, differently. If it is a fear of the future or the unknown, differently. If it is psychological safety, job security, you deal with it differently.
Sure, thank you so much. Very important, especially for the multi-generational workforce, to understand the importance of identifying the real issues that make you resist the change in every aspect of your profession. So, thank you so much. This brings us to the last question, Sahil, which is in a world where algorithms can quantify everything, how do we champion the unquantifiable, which is culture, empathy, and the art of human connection, and basically the ultimate competitive advantage today?
I think the answer lies in four alphabets: V, I, B, E, vibe. I think no algorithm can tell you whether Neha gets up on a Monday morning, gets up, I'm saying, not reaches office, gets up on a Monday morning, jumps out of her bed and says, I want to get to work today because I have the biggest podcast of my life with XYZ person who's always been a role model for me. Or today is Friday night. I have plans with friends. This has been happening for the last 3 months. I've been planning my bestie's birthday. I know it's going to be difficult going half an hour late because I have organized everything, but this thing is extremely crucial. And while my bestie is very important and bringing in her 30th birthday is very important, uh, but I think I will have to be at work for the next 20 minutes while I can at least reassign tasks, get my team to work on it, and then come back post midnight at 2 o'clock and finish this because it has to go to a client across continents first thing in the morning, right? Now, there may be sentiment analysis that a lot of organizations do when you get to work, put this smiley, put that smiley, or whatever. But I think that algorithm is very different from the vibe. And doing a vibe check, a lot of people say this, right? When you walk into an office, you can just feel a very different energy. You can say that, oh my God, here people are so cool. They will not have a discussion with you and very quickly go back to their desk from the meeting room and write a mail to you as discussed because there is trust. Or you can walk into an office and say, my God, this is like a crematorium. This is a dead place. People don't smile here. People don't talk here. सन्नाटा छाया हुआ है. लोग water cooler जाके भी पानी भर रहे हैं, सिर नीचे हैं, ऊपर देख भी नहीं रहे, not even looking up. And they are like so dead. So I think uh, responding to smileys and sentiment analysis is very different, which algorithms can to some extent crack. But actually, a vibe check, which is actually culture, which is not just in the office, but even outside the office. Many a times we go out to let our hair down, to gossip, to have fun, to have conversations about other colleagues, to joke a little. Uh, there also you can pick up the vibe to say, is there enmity? Is there jealousy? Or is there just pure friendly banter? And that's a very thin line if you just quietly sit back and observe. Any of your get togethers, are people just spending more and more time on their phone on Instagram, scrolling reels, while at an office party where everybody else is just, uh, you know, cheering each other or having a peg? So I think these are some vibe checks that I would say till now, I don't think we have chips in our body that are embedded where someone sitting in a back office in Philippines is actually tracking to say, oh, there are 90 people in my India office who are at an offsite or a party, and around 85% of them are very negative right now. I don't think those chips are still embedded. So therefore, vibe check still remains supreme.
Sure. Thank you so much. Beautifully put. A very refreshing perspective. So, this brings us to the end of this masterclass, Sahil. Thank you so much for your valuable insights. I think you have reminded us that in the age of AI, the real superpower does not lie in technology, but it lies in humanity. It lies in the aspects where we reflect on the why. It lies in the balance that we find in our workplaces when it comes to implementing AI, in our systems. So thank you so much for bringing these perspective.
Thank you. And I think it also lies in HRAI, the HR Association of India, who is beyond so many things that the body does, also brings these dialogues through so many people through their masterclass series. And I'm hopeful. I have attended so many of them, I have heard so many of them, and I think they've been very short capsule, very well designed. And heartiest congratulations to Dr. Ankita, Neha, you, and the entire team and the force. I know there's so many people, so I don't want to take names, but to the entire team at HR Association of India to actually bring forth the dialogue 2025.
Thank you so much, Sahil, for your kind words. And we are always excited to have experts like you to share insights. And our audiences have greatly benefited from these initiatives as well. So thank you so much for always taking time and sharing your invaluable insights.
Sure. All the
Thank
best.
you
Take
so
care.
much. Thanks a lot. Yeah.